Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Black Male Podcast. I am your host, AP. This is our first show of the new year of 2025. I want to thank you all for watching this show, whether it be live, whether it be on the YouTube page. I greatly appreciate you stopping by, you liking and subscribing, you getting the message out, you getting the word out, and we moving forward. Today's show is going to be on choices and consequences. Okay. Now, I want to first start off by saying choices and consequences are a fundamental part of our lives. Okay. The choices we make and the choices we have a significant impact on our lives and the lives of others. Meaning, the choices that we base those on the options that are presented to us by our hand, or sometimes the options that are given to us by other things, right? And they can either benefit us or they can put us in a situation where we are having to make certain decisions based on our surroundings and our particular experience that we're having at that moment that will either shape, make, or break us in that moment. Now, sometimes a momentary choice or decision, which a choice will lead to a decision, will either have us to have some sense of peace, some sense of hope, or something where we're reeling from, so that we are then in a position where we are now trying to make difficult decisions about the things that we have placed ourselves in. Now, you can think throughout all of your life. If you're an older person, you're a younger person, you're very young. At some point in your life, you will face and you will have certain experiences. And with those experiences are going to come life lessons. And those life lessons can come as something that can give you great pain, great anguish, great success, and great reward. And with those, you will have certain decisions that you will make based on the choices and the options that are in front of you. Now, when we think about choices, we are always told, in some circles, we're told to make the right choice or always choose the best thing or choose the right thing. And the reason why that is told to us is so that if we choose the right thing or we're making choices that are helping us in a certain instance or a certain experience, what that will do for us is that will give us an opportunity for success. Now, we ourselves will determine our level of success. Meaning, if we are trying to better ourselves or we want to further our education or our career or our own personal relationships with people, they're going to be decisions that we make based on the options that we have from the choices that are in front of us, right? So we want to start first. Choices are something that we all have, right? Now, the choices stem from the options that are in front of us, right? Or the options that will be given to us based on the experiences or a situation that we are currently in or a situation that may develop down the line. Now, depending on the choices and the options that we have, sometimes we will overthink about those options. Sometimes we will think that we are not in the right space to make those choices, and then we will lead ourselves to put ourselves in a decision-making effort that will then lead us to having some sort of consequence. Now, when we speak of consequence, a consequence is not necessarily a positive or a negative thing. A consequence is just a result of the decision that we made. And then sometimes we have to live with those, and some people will call those regrets, and some folks will call those a great deal in sense of some sort of acknowledgement or acceptance or an achievement. Now, with having those things, we need to put those in the same bucket along the lines of where we are trying to get to. Now, everyone has a road that they're going to pave. Some people are blazing a trail or walking a trail that's blazed by others. Some people are blazing their own trail. And when they blaze their own trail, they choose to follow a trail that has already been paved by someone else. There's going to be specific decisions that are made by you yourself that will either give you certain results that will be successful, or there will be some that you will have to learn a life lesson from. Now, a negative consequence or a negative result can yield you to make better decisions about the different decisions that are in front of you, because certain options will be presented to you that will then force you to have and to make certain outcomes in your favor, right? We all want to have this one thing of peace, solidarity, success, a positive reward in the end, because we were all taught if we do certain things, we choose the right things, and we plan and we set ourselves on a path, we will have great success, right? If we work hard, we make the right choices, we put ourselves in a position, we will have that success. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, because sometimes you will have a speed bump, and with that speed bump, sometimes either you have to step over it or you have to run through it. And with that time, when you get to that fork in the road, you have to decide yourself whether it's something that you want to continue to do or whether it's something that you feel like you need to move forward from or break yourself from, right? So we're going to jump into all of those things today. And basically, we want to get to the bottom of our decision making stemming from the options that we have, from the initial choice that we have, that will lead to some sort of result. And that result can be a positive or a negative ending of that. And just because I say an ending of it, it just means an ending of that current situation, right? It doesn't mean the end of all. It just means of that particular situation. That is what you're looking for. That's what you're looking at. And that's where you're going to. Okay. So with that being said, today's episode is about choices and consequences. Okay. I'm going to reiterate what I said earlier. Choices and consequences are a fundamental part of life, right? Now, the choices that we make have a significant impact on our lives and the lives of others. Okay, let's take that example. Okay, now, if I am in a place or in a space where let's say I want to go ahead and I want to go to school, right? I want to go to school, and it stems from me being asked when I was younger or at some point in my life when I made a decision of what it is I want to have as a career, what I want to do in my life. Some people are basing that based on money. Some people are basing that on security. And some people are basing that on finances, because sometimes finance can give people a sense of peace and security. Sometimes people who've had that, they like to take a step back and they'll have the peace and security with knowing where they are is in a good space based on the choices and the options that they have themselves. Okay. We're going to dig deeper into this career thing. You can go to school. You can have all the tools that you need. And sometimes you may run into a stumbling block, right? And that stumbling block may be that you may not have the job that you have worked so hard to get. You may not have the career, and it may not start off the way that you want. It doesn't necessarily mean that is going to be the end of your journey. That just means that your journey may take a little windy road. There may be a few bumps in the road. You may have to take a few longer strides. You may have to turn around, start, stop, go back, go forward. It may take some time for you to get to where you want to get to, but that doesn't mean that the road that you're on is done. Okay. Now, me making the decision to go to school to further myself requires discipline, requires effort, and it also is going to take a certain level of energy from me to get to where I want to be. That's my desired result, right? And in my desired result, what that would do is that would lead me into a place where I feel comfortable where I am. See, we want to feel comfortable where we are. We always want to have that solidarity, that peace, that security, be financially free, and be put in a place where we are happy. Okay? Because ultimately your happiness sometimes is based on the decisions that you're made, based on the choices that you make from the options that are presented to you. Right? Now, every choice has a consequence. Okay. Every choice that you make has a consequence. And now when I say that a consequence is either negative or positive, sometimes those consequences can be a learning experience that can be positive. And sometimes things can work out for you that in your favor for you to learn from. We all want to be on a path where we are learning and doing and growing and building and doing things like that. But sometimes the decision that we make based on the opportunities we have, sometimes that can put us on a delayed path of getting to where we want to get to. And sometimes that'll get us an immediate reaction, immediate reward. Now, with having those there's going to be decisions that you're going to make based on what is presented to you. Now, if I get what it is that I'm looking for right now, based on further on in my life, is how I'm going to tailor my life and the things that I want to have done, right? If I don't have those right away, sometimes I may second guess myself. Sometimes I may also second guess the route or the effort that I put in myself. And I may doubt myself from the things that I'm going through at that time and the experiences that I'm having. And that doesn't mean that I'm off. It doesn't also mean that I'm lacking something. That just means that my road is paved a little bit differently. All of our roads are paved differently. And with the choices that we're made, sometimes it's based on where we are in that particular time and also the environment that we come from. Now, sometimes those of us that come from a certain environment, our thought process is survival. And with that survival mindset, it will make us or put us in a situation where we are making every decision based on a sustainability of safety and survival, just so I can live another day or I can live to fight another day. And that'll be my mindset. It will take some time and some experience and some things that I will go through to have great success in my mountaintop, are also some things that are going to be in my lowest part, which will be the valley part of what I'm going through or what I'm dealing with. But it doesn't mean that I stop where I am. See, when I stop and I halt, that means that progress is going to just sit there. If I'm sitting on something that's a gold mine, the gold mine is my idea, the gold mine is where I want to be, the gold mine is the things that I want to achieve, then I have no one to blame but myself. But sometimes we blame other situations, we blame other factors, we blame other people, and we blame certain things that are out of our control. See, the thing about control is that we want to control certain things because we want to have it the way that we have envisioned, right? Some people are dreamers, some people are thinkers, and some people are doers. And those dreamers, thinkers, and doers, they will approach and attack the choices that they have and the choices that are presented to them to make certain decisions that would then impact their future or where they are in the present. See, some people like to live too far in the future. And it doesn't mean that they're wrong. That just means that they see the light at the end of the tunnel. That doesn't mean it's a train. That just means that that's where they see themselves. Now, when they get to that point, do they stop or do they just placate where they are? Some people like to plateau and placate where they are because they feel like they've made it. But you can always build upon where you are because you'll fine tune everything that you're doing. You always want to think about the little things, okay? The little things that you decide when you have those options will sometimes mean more than the big things that you see, okay? For example, everyone has moved at some point in their life, right? You've moved from apartment to apartment. You may have moved from apartment to house. You may have moved from house to apartment. You may have moved out of your house and then moved into a dorm. You move, we move. Humans have moved since the beginning of time, right? Now let's say when you move, you are in a position where now you have certain things that are presented to you that now you have to decide where you want to be, right? With moving, you have to know if I'm going to be safe. Is this the best choice for me? What do I have to worry about? And all those other little things. Because once you start packing up and you start looking at everything and start realizing everything that encompasses a move, it's a bigger task than sometimes we really want to, accept. Right. And with those decisions that we're making during that move or during that time and that experience will shape how we're going to move forward with that. OK, now, moving is a hard thing for everyone. Nobody likes to move because it requires change. Right now, with change, you have to decide what it is I want to keep and what it is I want to move from. Right now, with me keeping certain things and moving from certain things, it will either make me be in a place where I can then be happy where I am, or I will sit there and wonder why me, or what can I do better to further where I am. And that's part of everything that we do, because in our human existence and in our experience, we have all faced a time or a challenge such as that. And with that time and that challenge such as that, it makes us then be in a different spot mentally and emotionally that will affect the things that we will think and sometimes the things that we do, because our thoughts will turn into words and our words will turn to beliefs, and then it will turn into actions. And with those actions, it's just like our decisions, we have to live with those. And some decisions we can't live with based on where we are. Okay? Go back to where living in or being in a situation where you don't have the best options, right? I was looking on Instagram, just going through my reels, a couple of days ago. And it's funny when you start looking up, because it's called an algorithm, when you are doing research for certain topics, or you're looking at something, then during that algorithm, it'll develop cookies. And those cookies will be something that you look at, and it will continue to spot up on your feed, your live, whatever it is, right? But there was two gentlemen, an older gentleman and a younger man, right? Both of them were incarcerated, right? Now, this younger gentleman, you can tell he had just been sentenced, because what he was stating was 5 minutes of my life has decided the rest of my life. It has given me something that I wasn't really fully prepared to deal with, right? And some of us have either ourselves, or some of us, we know people that have been in that situation based on the options or the things that they have. The hungriest and the most people that try to get things from survival are those that feel they have the least. And their decisions are all based on what I can have now, what I can get, and what I can have to maintain what I need. Because sometimes life is very difficult and very hard for some people. Right. And with knowing that some people are going to live their lives according to a certain creed or to a certain standard, they're going to do everything. Every decision that they make is going to be based on their survival. Right. The jobs that they choose, the people they choose to be around, the people that they choose to be with, anything around their life. And what makes them comfortable is based on their experience and based on some previous choice that they made that have put them in that position. Okay. Now that older gentleman, had already been incarcerated, right? He's just going back on his life. He's going back on the times that he made that bad decision. And you can tell, you can look at the dismay on his face that now he's starting to realize the decision that he made, which was a momentary decision, because he did have a choice. In which he said he did have a choice to walk away, but he chose not to walk away because deep down inside, he felt like it was something that he had to do, which led to him committing whatever offense that he did. It didn't say what offense that he committed, but he committed an offense. Now, he's incarcerated for some years and some time. Now he's had time to sit down. Now things are slowing down for him to see and to navigate where he should have done, with the things that he should have done, compared to the things that he did do. See, sometimes we need to take a step back when things are given to us or showed to us or presented to us, because sometimes we need to take a step back and really dissect what is being said and the meaning behind what is being said. Case in point, our jobs. Let's say you're in a position where you're going to go ahead and get a promotion, or you're in your current role and they're either going to eliminate your role or they're changing your role, right? Within that, you're going to go through a rash of choices and options that you're going to do. Should I leave this job? Should I do a half-tail job about what I'm doing? Should I do something else that's going to make me feel like I need to be in a different spot? Is it going to make me want to do some things that are going to affect me? It may affect my livelihood. Because if I decide to leave that position, then I have to worry about, my bills. That's something that we're going to face, that we all will face. And especially if we decide to make a choice to leave something that we're not really prepared to do. Right? Now, let's say with those choices or those options that you're given, that you then make a decision to either stay or to try to change some things so that you can have some sort of success, that you will have peace. Because the mantra and the idea of peace is so that you can take deep breaths so that you can live with whatever decision that you make based on the choices and the options that were presented to you. Now, with you living with that peace and having that solidarity, that makes it easier for you to deal with something if another situation, because another situation will come up, and it may not be the same situation that you're currently facing. It may be a different situation, but then you're heady, meaning you're thinking more about where you are and that last decision that you have made based on the experience that you've had. Let's think about the times that you've been in a relationship with someone, right? Now, everyone has had good and bad relationships. Some of us have had very toxic relationships. And even in those toxic relationships, we either decided to stay, or we decided to deal with some things, we decided to let some things go, or we decided just to leave altogether. Part of that is letting go of some sense of control and then trusting ourselves to make better decisions for ourselves in that situation, okay? If you want to think, I'll use this example, okay? Outkast and UGK had a song called Players Ball. Everybody knows this song, right? Big Boy at the end, he says, better choose the right one to pick the kiddies up. What that means is, if I don't make the right choice with the person that I'm going to have children with or the person I'm going to be with, my life may then not turn out the way that I want to based on this momentary time when I'm not really making a clear, sound decision on any choice that is given to me. Now, there's people who play the field. There's people who do certain things. There's people who have all types of options that are out there. And sometimes when you're making those options, sometimes we do things that feel good to us. And it may not be good to us, because every time something feels good to us doesn't necessarily mean that it is good for us, right? And you can go and get in that situation and you're digging in a deeper hole, and then mentally it's draining and dragging on you and making you feel and making you make decisions based on where you are. And then you enter in, or a toxic situation is then infiltrated, because now I can't break away. So now my decisions in that situation are treacherous, and they could be dangerous. And I could make a momentary decision that may be a lasting one that I don't want to deal with down the road. And then with dealing with that decision down the road, am I going to be man enough or woman enough to deal with the decision that I made? And sometimes we can't, because we didn't fully think about those things in that time. Because if you remember, or you think about something, if you think about this, if you are a parent and you ask your child, why did they do certain things? They say, I don't know, I wasn't thinking, or I don't know. They don't know, because in their mind, when that option and that choice was presented to them, or they walked into that option, they didn't fully really think about what's ahead. Because when we sit in these times for our own personal experiences, it will force us to make certain decisions that we may not be ready to make. We may not be ready to leave a job. We may not be ready to leave that person. We may not be ready to go to school. We may not be ready to take on a new job. But sometimes life and circumstances and situations force us to do that. And when we are in those spots and in those places, when we make those decisions, it then further us to then have a different desired result. And when we have that desired result, it looks better, it looks different, but then it puts us in a different spot of our consequence, right? Which would then be positive, right? Because then it's a reward, okay? But every choice has a consequence, right? Because all choices, no matter whether they're big or small, are going to impact you. They're going to impact the people that are around you. If you're a single person, it doesn't matter if you're single. Whatever choice that you make will impact someone. Therapists will call this a primary and a secondary victim, in which they will say that, right? The primary victim will be myself based on the choices that I make. If I make a certain choice, and within that choice and my decision, it can either make or break me. Now, it can have a significant effect on me based on the outcome that is coming, okay? It can also have a significant impact on the people that are around me, right? If I decide to drink or go to a bar, go somewhere, and I'm drinking, I get in my car and I decide to drive, I'm taking a chance. There's a 50-50 chance I may make it home. There's a 70-30 chance that I may kill somebody. There may be a chance that I may kill myself being behind that wheel. That doesn't mean that I made the best. That means I did not make the best choice for myself in that moment. Because what someone or something or myself should say, I shouldn't go. I shouldn't leave. These things are not right now. These things should not be happening. If I choose to speed and not wear a seatbelt, of course, a natural reaction is I'm going to get injured. Sometimes you can get injured by not speeding and by not wearing a seatbelt. It goes 50-50. But the odds are greater for you not to take certain precautions when you're doing that. And that's part of making those decisions. When you are in that decision-making stage of whatever you're doing, and there's always going to be something that's going to chime in your head or in your ear, and it may say, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Or I don't think I would do that. I was going to do something else. That's why we struggle and we toggle when there's decisions to be made based on the options, because we're looking for a positive result. And in that positive result, we want it to work out the best for us, right? We want it to work out where no one's going to get hurt. I'm going to feel secure. I'm going to be happy. And in the long run, I can benefit from that, right? I also have to consider what consequences I may be facing, right? If I get behind that wheel and I've been drinking, the consequence, I may be in jail. I may kill someone. I may kill myself, right? If I hit someone, then what can happen? I can go to jail. Somebody can do something to me. That is a natural consequence. But when I'm not thinking about those and I'm not really fully invested in learning about certain decisions or seeing the end of the road, because sometimes in certain circumstances and situations, we don't have time to think. We just have time to react. And then sometimes those reactions will come out in our thoughts, and then it will be our words, and then our words will turn to actions. And when our words turn to action, sometimes we feel like we had no other choice to make. Have you been in that situation where you felt like you had no other choice to make, and you just made a decision based on the options that were presented to you or the options that you presented yourself with? And sometimes we can look at those options and say that if I had a better chance, or if this would have happened, or if that would have happened, then I would have made a better decision. But sometimes when we sit back and take a deep breath when things are presented to us, we'll have a chance to really dissect what is actually going on. We'll have a chance to really see what it is that we need to see. Because sometimes people will say certain things to evoke certain emotions or certain responses or certain decisions from you based on where they see certain things, right? If I were to present something something to you, and I say that you should make this choice, I'm doing it for my benefit, right? Everything I say, everything I do is going to be based on my desired results, right? I have a choice to make. I chose to tell you certain things based on the options that are available, and I'm banking on you making a certain decision that's going to benefit me. Now, the decision that you make that benefits me is not going to benefit you, because in the tail end of that, during the middle of that, or the beginning of it, or the tail end of that, you're then going to look and realize and may decide that, you know what, I probably shouldn't have made that decision. And some of us have been in that situation, and some of us continue to be in that situation. But there's a way out. Sometimes we can have a way out with saying, no, I don't feel like doing this, or no, this is not going to work for me. But I have to have the power of saying no in those moments to say that, you know what, I need more time to really think about that. And when I think about it, I can't think about it with an emotional mindset, right? I have to logically weigh all the options. Sometimes the best thing is to write it out. And if I write out the pros and cons like a Venn diagram, there's two options, two circles, right? And the circles are mixed in the middle, right? You get the pros for this, you got the pros for this, you got the cons at the bottom, and what's equal with both of them is right in the middle. And the things are in the middle. If that list is very small, then that means that these options here do not work out well for me. right? It's going to be something negative at the end or the bottom of it that's then going to put me in a spot where I don't want to be. And then sometimes when we get in those spots, we become defensive and we become aggressive. We become very antagonistic when we're meeting those things. And when we meet those things, we learn more about ourselves at that time than we ever will at any point in time. Throughout our human experience, we're going to have those, right? And we're going to have the times where we're going to make certain decisions. We're also going to have times when we are choosing to do things that we necessarily don't want to do. But someone has convinced us that's the best thing for us. But it's only the best thing for us because it works out for them, right? If you're a hardworking employee and people depend on you at work and people can count on your work and your effort, and someone then decides that they're going to change some things for you, that works well for them. You have the right and the opportunity to take a stand or take a step back and say, I need to decide if this is going to be the best thing for me. Now, deep down inside, you can have a whole bunch of rash of frustration and certain emotions that will come out, and it will make you frustrated, which is okay. It will make you think about certain things, and then it may force you to be so angry about the situation or the position that you're in. But if you take a step back and you really dissect the real meaning, everything will fall right into place. You're able to think clearer based on the options that are presented to you, right? Because from that, you will make a choice. And the decision is the action that you choose to go with, right? So the choices are stemmed from options, right? From the options, you go to choices. The choices are the decisions based on the actions you chose to do. If I chose to go ahead and go along with what was told to me, even though I don't feel right, I have to live with what happens after that. And it may be 2, 3, maybe 10, maybe 20 things that are going to be affected by the choice and the decision that I made. But I have to live with that. Some of us can't live with the regret that when we make a decision, because sometimes we say, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that automatically. And sometimes when we say that, it still works out for our benefit when we sit and we then decide that I can go left, I can go right, or I can continue to go straight forward. And if we decide to do those things in those times, we will learn something more about ourselves, but we'll also learn more about the people that have presented something to us. Because sometimes you can do something for someone all the time, and you can be that number one person, the number one thing, the person that they are going to, and the person that they say they depend on. But what you are and what you present to them is a sense of peace, solidarity, and security. And with that, are they giving you the same thing based on the decision that you're going to make? They may not. They're going to do it based on where they are. They're going to do it based on their desired outcome, because the desired outcome was given to them by someone else. And that happens all the time. You think about your relationship, right? If you are currently in a relationship, or if you just got out of a relationship, when we just get out of a relationship, there's tons of things we will think about. We will go through the good, we will go through the bad, we'll think about good memories, we're going to think about bad memories. Everything that we had with that person will come up, right? Because we are rehashing and reliving our experience with that person. And then sometimes when we have gone through certain things and made certain decisions that didn't work out well for us, we focus the most on those. And then sometimes when we focus the most on those, we can either have a disdain for that person or a deep hatred for that person. And then when we have that disdain or that deep hatred for that person, that would determine how we respond to them, either if we hear their name, or if we see them, or if we are in close proximity with them. Okay? Sometimes people you work with do that all the time, right? Sometimes people, your coworker or your manager or whoever that has put you in that situation, will get a different reaction or response from you based on that interaction that you have with them, right? If you don't know that you want someone to be open and honest with you, because sometimes we say that, but sometimes some of us are not really ready to deal with that and welcome that. And we're really ready to deal with that and welcome that. We have to take on everything that comes along with that, because they had a choice based on the options that was presented to them. They made a decision, and that decision then has a positive or a negative consequence that's going to affect you. It may affect other people's, but most of all, it's going to affect them as well. Because when you operate within a circle and a network of people, or you operate in a network with someone, anything that I choose is going to affect someone. And whatever I choose, and it affects that person, it could either make or break them, right? And what that does is that can either make or break whatever relationship we have, right? Every relationship you have is built on trust and respect. If you don't have trust and respect, you don't have no sort of relationship at all. You have an acquaintance, right? Now, with building trust and having respect within that particular relationship, you're going to have those times where sometimes things are not going to go right, right? Case in point, if somebody decides to step out on their partner, right? Somebody decides to do something that they shouldn't be doing, right? Now, some people will consider cheating as talking to other people, going out, doing that. Whatever you decide with your person is your business. You guys should talk about that well before you get together. And sometimes we don't do that. Sometimes we are so enamored with someone that we just rush to decisions from an option that we feel like we have to make because I got to have this, right? Based on, like I said earlier, some people make decisions based on a survival mindset. Some people make the decision based on, I can't let go of what I have. So I may sit in this situation, or I may stay in this job, even though it does not bring me great peace or solidarity. It also doesn't bring me any positive reward immediately. Right? If I'm told that if I continue to do certain things, I'm going to be promised certain things. In my mind, I'm going to think, yeah, okay, you're going to get me to think that, yeah, I'm going to continue to do that. That's going to work out well for me and everything's going to go great. But it doesn't mean that that's the case. What that means is that I then now become victim to what you're saying and what you're doing. And then when I see that, I still have a choice to make within that if I want to continue that or if I want to let it go. See, some of us haven't mastered the art of letting go. Sometimes when we get to a certain age or a certain stage of our life where sometimes we're forced to let certain things go, it's for our benefit. Sometimes when we let things go, we let things go too early. We let things go too late. And when we let things go too early, then we have that regret. When we let things go too late, we have regret because we're human. Right? We're going to dissect everything that goes on or has went on within whatever circle or whatever situation or situations we have faced. And when we do that, then either we can come out on the other end, on the other side, either better from the experience that we've just had that will propel us to make better decisions and have deeper options. Or when those options are presented to us, we're able to sit there and think about them. Right? Time is a great equalizer for everything. Time allows me to fully dissect whatever options are given to me. Okay. And with those options that are given to me, I can make a better decision that will be beneficial for me because we want to have a happy medium, right? Marriages a long time ago that lasted 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, sometimes 80 years. There's times in those marriages or relationships or whatever you have, anything that has some sort of sustainability for years, there has been a positive and a negative of everything, right? There's going to be someone that made a decision that affected the whole, right? There's going to be some people that make decisions and continue to make decisions because they feel like they can do it. Or the person that they're around or the person that they're with either is not going to say something or they feel like they gotten over on them. And until that person really decides that I've had enough or I can't deal with this anymore or something needs to change. And until that time happens, I'm still stuck with a decision to make whether I want to stay, I want to deal, or I want to go. And I can't do those things if I'm saying I need to grow because everything needs to grow. Trees grow, plants grow, people grow out of things as well. I can grow up on something, or I can grow out of it. Growing out of it just means I'm tired of it, right? I saw another gentleman. He was talking about relationships, right? He was talking about a male and a man and a woman, right? He said, why would a woman be mad at a man if she's holding? And he used this. He said, if she has water and this man is only wanting her water, and she's constantly saying no, 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 or she has a headache, or she has other reasons why he can't have some of her water, when he goes and decides to get water from someone else, she then is upset. Now, I don't readily agree with people doing stuff like that. I really feel if you're going to do that, you might as well just break it off, because nothing comes out of that that's going to be positive for anybody. Anything can happen. People have killed other people for things like that, because I feel like you didn't have to do that. I feel like you put me in a position to make this choice. This momentary action has now made me make a decision that now I have to live with for the rest of my life. And then if I have children, or we have children, it's going to affect them greatly, because one or two of us may not be around, right? People who are in abusive relationships, that happen all the time. Should I stay or should I go? Should I be with this person, or should I decide that I want better? But not until you know better will you do better. And when you know better, you know it from the experiences that you have. And with those experiences that you have, you can then base your future, or whatever future decisions you make, based on a failure you've had, or a success that you've had in the past. Now, with those things, it makes me either be more well within myself, or it forces me to then change some things, right? We're in a new year right now. Some people make New Year's resolutions, right? Now, I don't make New Year's resolutions for myself. The reason why I don't make New Year's resolutions for myself is we can have a plan for something, but when we plan for something, do we really plan for if it goes wrong? Sometimes people don't have contingency plans. Some people don't have backup plans. Now, I'm not saying have a backup plan for anybody you're in a relationship with. I'm not saying that. Okay. What I'm saying is that if you're planning on doing something for yourself to benefit yourself in a positive way, or that's going to make your life better for you, or that's going to sustain what you have based on a general need of yours, not a want, but a need of yours, what decisions will you make from that? Right? The gentleman that made that analogy with the water, he said that in front of a bunch of people. It was an auditorium of people. The host was a female, and her face lit up when he used this. Now, who's to say that she was in that situation? Who's to say that somebody else in the audience was currently in that situation? Because you never really know where people are unless people tell you, right? And that's built on trust and respect, right? But you have to trust and respect processes. You also have to trust and respect people and where they are and where they're trying to go, so that somehow we can build something together. If we can build something together, if I'm with someone, or if I'm in charge of a certain group of people, then I have to make certain decisions that benefit everyone, right? We want to talk about gender roles, right? Men by nature are hunter-gatherers. Women are more caring and compassionate. That's their gender role, right? A man is not caring and compassionate. A man will learn to love. A man will also learn some empathetic ways of going about certain things. Doesn't make him soft. That makes him smart, right? And sometimes when you're smart, sometimes you have to decide whether I'm going to act on something, whether I'm going to let some things play out, or whether I choose to go ahead and just let it be, right? And not just for men, but for women too, right? Sometimes small children, adolescents, and young adults go through the same thing. When you're going through your human experience and you have certain situations that are presented to you, and you have certain things that are right in front of you, you are going to make those decisions based on the past, your present, that will then infiltrate your future. And with those things, you're going to continue to either make a good decision for yourself, a bad decision, or you're going to learn from whatever decision you make, and hopefully when you're going through those situations or those experiences, it will have a better result in the end than you have either currently right now or you had in the beginning. Okay? Every choice comes with a consequence. Once you make a choice, you must accept the responsibility, right? Those responsibilities that you have are going to be important because those responsibilities are things that you're going to have to own. You have to own what you did. You have to own the decision that you made. If you made a decision not to be with somebody or not to be intimate, and I'm going to talk about intimacy, a couple shows down the road. You want to not be intimate, and sometimes intimate doesn't mean physical. Sometimes being intimate or the lack of intimacy means that somewhere down the line there's a break in between the people that are there. Now, there's an option that presents itself, and there's a choice for both of them to make, but the decision that is made is whether they're going to come together or whether they're still going to be split. Now, they may come together just to say, okay, well, it's done, and now we're going to go back to where we were, but what really changes? What change has been made? What change has been made when you decide to leave someone that's not good for you? What change have you made when you decide to leave a job that's not good for you or it didn't work out for you, right? We're all facing those challenges. We're all facing those situations, and we all will share those experiences at one point in time in our life. And when we share those experiences, where do we end up when we make those decisions? We can go left, we can go right, or we can go straight ahead, because there's always options that we have, and there's always a decision that's going to be made based on the options we have because we chose to act on one of those options. Okay? Now, choices are free will, right? Choices and responsibility are the same, right? Now, there's also a burden of the choice that I have. If I don't make the right choice, what will that do for me, right? If I don't make the right choice, will that lead me somewhere where I don't want to be? I use the example of the two gentlemen that were incarcerated, right? I use a couple of other examples. If I don't make the right choice in this momentary time, where will that lead me? Where would that put me? Would that put me in a spot where I'm going to learn something, or would that put me in a spot where I'm just going to sit, wait, fester, and just deal with it? And when I deal with it, I have to live with that regret, right? Choices are free will. That is something that we all have, no matter what your belief is, no matter what your makeup is, your culture is. Everyone has a choice. Everyone also makes decisions based on the choices that they have. But not a lot of us are really ready to deal with the responsibility of the decision that we make, because deep down inside, some of us are dealing with something in the past, either with that person, that situation, or a previous one, that's going to affect where we go down the road. Okay? All right. I'm gonna go ahead and give you this last statement. Okay? In essence, the concept of choice and consequences in philosophy underscores the importance of understanding that our actions have repercussions and that we are all responsible for the choices we make. Okay? It encourages us to be thoughtful and mindful of the impact of our decisions on ourselves and others. We have to own it. If we don't own the decisions that we make, we're going to continue to be in a certain situation and then continue to have the same thing go over and over and over again. And then we're reeling when we have that. We're reeling when we have certain things happen to us. And when we reel and we really don't want to deal with those things, we find ourselves in the same situation, relationship-wise, family-wise, or other. Okay? That's going to be our show for today. Thank you for watching our show. And if you didn't watch it live and you did watch it live, thank you very much. This show will be available on the YouTube page later on. And as always, be good to yourself and be good to others. Peace.